It's a good day. Don't know what you're going through, what you're struggling with, how much pain you may be in physically, emotionally, mentally, even spiritually. It's a good day. God is on his throne, and he loves you, and he loves me. And sometimes it doesn't feel that way, and sometimes it doesn't look that way. And I was thinking about reality and perception, and how insufficient and incomplete our awareness and perception is, and yet how much we base what we determine is and is not real, how we qualify reality based on our perceptions. And that's really stupid if we stop and think about it for 1 second. Because I look around this room, this sanctuary, and I can look across unhindered, and I can see my mom, and I can see my dad, and I can see my lovely wife. I see Leslie coming back in. I see all of you guys. There's nothing between us. It's unhindered. Except it's not. There's billions upon billions of little microscopic stuff in the air between us that we can't see. And we started thinking about that a whole lot right around 2020, right? And you don't know, and you're making guesses. 6 feet, 12 feet, 2 inches. What do we need to do? Am I okay here? Is this stupid mask actually doing anything? We have this stuff. You can watch, shows where they go into hotel rooms and they turn the lights out and they turn that black light on, and you think, oh no, I'm never staying in a hotel room ever again. Well, go do that in your own house, and you'll want to burn your house to the ground. We just can't see that stuff. And it works both ways. You think you're okay, nothing's changed, but it turns out your house is full of carbon monoxide. Looks perfectly safe, smells safe. You go to sleep, you don't wake up. Israelites had a time like that. They had won a big victory. They thought, oh, we're good and we're good. But God said, no, you're not. They couldn't see what he saw. They couldn't hear what he heard. They didn't know what he knew. And they ran into battle and they got kicked. They got stomped. They ran from there. But it works the other way too. It's not that sometimes we walk through this life thinking we're totally okay and we're completely surrounded by danger we can't see, which is true. But I was thinking about those Hebrew scouts that went from the wilderness into the promised land, and the report they brought back. Read that again sometime. Do you know what? Not one of those scouts lied. You understand they told the truth? Every one of those cities that they said was huge and strong and had a wall around it really did. Every one of those people that they said were big and strong were big and strong. And when they said we cannot defeat them, they were 100% entirely accurate. Their circumstances, their situation, everything they could perceive, everything they could evaluate said, we are sufficient. Insufficient. And it was right. But they got punished for it. Why? Because they had known enough to know that that's not all there is. They had seen the Red Sea part. They had been fed by God. They had been watered by God. They knew the spiritual realm existed as much as you know that carbon dioxide is in this room. They knew it, and they didn't take it into account They based their reality on what they felt, thought, and could sense, what their circumstances were around them. And it happened over and over and over again. That's why Elijah said, Lord, open his eyes. And his servant saw, or was it Elisha? I always get those mixed up. But anyway, the prophet said, open his eyes. And his servant saw the armies of God. And he went from, we're doomed and surrounded, to, oh, this is good. Leah and I were listening to a thing recently about how the smallpox vaccine was created. And they grabbed this guy to experiment with him, to make him sick on purpose with a supposedly lesser dead strain of smallpox. And everything said, don't do that. You're intentionally going to get sick and it's going to kill you. People are dying of this stuff all over the place. But he did it. And they blew smallpox virus up his nose. Yeah, it's gross. And he didn't get sick at all. Because what they didn't know, what he didn't know, what he couldn't know at that time, walking into what appeared to be very deadly, was that his bout with cowpox had totally made him immune. We walk into danger, and God is with us. And we find ourselves immune. But you can't see that. And then there are times we think we're good. And we walk into danger thinking we're not. Because that's not where God would have us go. Why am I doing all that? Because it's not about what we see. And it's not about what we feel. And it's not even about what we think. It's about what God is doing. And there are a lot more things in the air around us that we can't see than there are things in this room that we can. And there's a lot more going on in the spiritual realm that we can't see, know, and understand than there are things going on that we can understand. So we need to trust Him. Because our perception is always lacking. If the devil had understood what killing Jesus was going to do, he wouldn't have done it. But he couldn't see. And he can see a lot more of it than we can. He can see the spiritual realm. And he didn't know. So what kind of arrogance makes us think we know what's going on better than the spiritual realm knows what's going on? Jesus knew, not because he was anything other than connected to the Father. He said, I'm looking at these circumstances. This doesn't look good. Is there any other way? And the Father said, come on, you know what this is. And in the strength of the encouragement, he got up and went to the cross for us. And it looks like defeat, but it's victory. And then the light of the love of God shines on us, and we see it, and we go, oh my goodness, I'm not worthy. And you're right. Just like the Israelites couldn't defeat the Canaanites and the Hittites and all the otherites. Except the reason the light of that love is shining on you is so that you can see that you're supposed to come and have that dealt with by the one who can, because you can't. He died for us. He rose for us. He brought us to himself, made us his own, and empowered us to walk with him and to hear him and give us the grace to walk with him no matter what the circumstances. When Joseph sat in that jail in that prison, in that dungeon for over a decade. He had no evidence other than the fact that he wasn't being beaten to death and killed, that God was still with him. He was in the pit. And there were people who thought they were safe, who didn't leave battlefields. The difference is, where's your eyes? Stop looking at the material. Turn your eyes on Jesus, the one who died for you, the one who rose. And he will bring us through, whether it looks safe or not. He is our answer. He is our hope. He is our strength. And there is more going on. And he not only knows it all, sees it all, but is ultimately king over it all. And he will bring it to completion in a way that is good, in a way that is right, in a way that is just, fair. Every time you've said this isn't fair and it wasn't, that's going to be dealt with. Be careful. Some of that was you. We need his forgiveness. We need his grace. And we need his sight to lead us, because we have a perception that is just so insufficient to understand whether or not we are safe or not, what's going on around us. We just can't see it. So take a deep breath in and don't worry about what's in the air, because God is with you, and he is our protection and our shield.